Hi, in order to learn any C in any programming language, not just C, the best way is to start writing the programs. So that is why I'll start writing the programs, and whenever I give you any program, you do just execute it just for the sake of learning, even though the programs are not very big. And so one other assumption is, I assume that you are all going to use Linux operating system. Any variation of Linux is fine. I assume that you are going to run all these programs on a Linux system, right? And we shall start off with this hello world program. So what you can do is just type this program in any editor. You can start with gedit, or if you are comfortable with Linux environment, you can go with vi or vim, and you just write, type this entire program first. Right now the program is #include studio.h main, and then curly braces and printf hello world. So you save it with any name ending with .c. Now you can save it as hello.c or any name, right? Let us say you are saving it with hello.c. Okay, so typically every C program should always end with .c in Linux environment, right? It is better if you write it this way. And after you save it, you can go to the command prompt and you can give the command gcc. So gcc stands for GNU C compiler, right? Which means you are calling the C compiler and you pass to the compiler whichever program you have stored. Let us say hello.c. Now if you compile this program, then in the same folder you are going to get a.out, which is going to be created as the compiled file, right? Now you take this a.out, again you go to the command prompt and you just give a.out. Now if you write a.out, it is going to run the program, and as an output you are going to see hello world printed. Okay, in the output you are going to see this hello world. Okay, now what has happened here is, in this program we have just given that we want to print hello world, that is why hello world is printed. Now let's see what are all the components that we have used while writing this program. Now the main parts in any programming language like C, or especially C, will contain two things. One is it will contain the functions, and the other thing is it will contain the variables. Now what are the functions is, this function will contain, or the functions will contain the commands which will say what is the work to be done, and these variables are going to store the values which will be useful while executing these commands. Either to store the input or to store the output, we are going to use the variables, right? Now if you look at the way the program is written, now the first line is #include studio.h. So it is we are going to include a header file. So we shall talk about the library and header files later. So for now assume that we have to include this standard input output library in all the functions. Okay, so in all the programs we are going to have this line. Exactly what is this header file and why we should include it, we shall see it later. And the next one is, we are going to see this name main followed by some braces here, and then there is curly brace. So this stands for a function. Now typically you can choose any name to be given to a function, but then every C program, if you have to run it, it should definitely contain main somewhere, right? So other than this particular function, if you have any other function, you can give it any name you wish, but then only there should definitely be a function which is going to contain main if you have to run it. The reason is, your C program will start executing starting from the main function. That is why if you have to execute it, you should have main. And now between these curly braces, so the body of the function is going to be present. So this is the name of the function and this is the body of the function, and in the body you can have many commands, right? So here you have only one line, which is print and again something. If you look at this printf is again a function which is not written by you, it is already present in the library and you are going to use it, right? So just to use it, you are going to include this header file. I'll tell you what is the relation between this one and the function here, okay, later. And now if you see this is the name of the function, and then between these braces you are going to send some arguments. So whatever is present between these braces, whenever you call a function, this is called as the argument list. Now in this list you have passed only one argument, and that argument here is just a sequence of characters which are present in this apostrophes, or you can say double quotes. Okay, now whenever you see this is called as, whenever you see a string of characters in these double quotes, then you can say that this is a string constant. Okay, string constant or a string. Fine. And now this particular string constant is passed to this function, and this function will be executed taking this one as the input. Okay, so how this function is written, that depends on how it is implemented in the library, so we shall see it later. So finally the output is going to be hello.c. So in this one we are not going to use, or we have not used any of the variables. We shall see some examples where we can use variables. Now what you can do is just execute this function and you try to modify wherever you can and see what errors you get and what type of output you can see. Okay.